In this video, I'm going to share my thoughts about what happened on the recent incident that took place in a posh, high-end resort in Cebu City, and how a mom raising a son with autism felt discriminated. And we're going to start right now. Hello, Radiant people. This is Karen Axalan. Welcome to Radiant Fields. I would like to offer an apology because I mentioned on my previous video that I'm going to share that my next video will be about 5 love languages of encouragement. I will still be uploading that video. However, I felt that this is a more urgent topic to talk about, especially that today is December 10. It is Human Rights Day. In the Philippines, we celebrate the National Human Rights Consciousness Week that started December 4 and ends in December 10. So I hope to upload this video today. I would like to speak up about the recent incident that took place in Cebu City. To give you a background of the incident, it began when a mom wrote a review on TripAdvisor about what happened during her last visit on Plantation Bay, a high-end resort in Cebu City. So here is her review. So it says, not an ideal place for a child with special needs. A review of Plantation Bay Resort and Spa. She wrote it 3 days ago. And this is what she said. It could have been the perfect getaway for Finn, my child with special needs. When something excites him or when he is happy, he makes it known by squealing with delight. Finn is happy. That is what I always tell him every time he does that. I thought that was okay until we were told from afar, a lifeguard, as a mother, your initial action would be directed to your child. So I told him not to squeal because it wasn't allowed. Quite frankly, it was a difficult moment. Another lifeguard came and told us the same thing. I had to explain that he is a child with needs. Every time Finn jumps in the water, he'd be so happy that he'd laugh and squeal again. I tried hustling him and at one point tried to cover his mouth. But then I realized this is wrong. This isn't right at all. The plan to swim the whole morning came to a halt. I asked Finn if we could go back to the room because we weren't allowed to squeal and be merry the special way. It's a discriminating experience. We often get this a lot. When normal people who are ignorant of people with special needs give us that stare of please control your child. My Finn is a happy child. He has autism. He is special. Very special. I will never consider staying here ever again. No luxury of this proportion can make this experience okay because that is not what we need. We need a friendly and empathetic environment for kids and families with special needs. It was simply a review from a mom raising a son with special needs. I can empathize with her because I am also a mom raising a son with special needs. However, it became a national issue when the Plantation Bay Resort CEO replied to her review. You could see that Manny Gonzales used the account of Efren Bellarmino, the general manager of Plantation Bay Resort and Spa. Manny Gonzales confirmed that it was he who wrote this. If you're going to read Mr. Gonzales's reply right now at TripAdvisor, it is already an edited version, but there were those netizens who captured a screenshot of the original version, and this is what enraged the netizens, especially families taking care of children with special needs. So I'm going to read an excerpt of an article written by Autism Society of the Philippines. For the record, for many families who live with autism, we are hyper aware of our children's challenges. All too often, we are overly apologetic for their lapses, and we are quick to retreat after seeing the familiar look of judgment in the eyes of the public. It is never our intention to infringe on the rights of others to experience what we want our children to enjoy. Be it a day at a pool or a movie in a mall, genuine disability inclusion ensures access to be enriching opportunities and experiences. We commend Mommy Mai for fighting for her child and for speaking out. A disability compassionate and sympathetic hospitality organization would have gone the extra mile to understand their customers' perspective. Instead, the resort went the other direction. Before deep diving into resort rules relegated to fine print, Mr. Efren Bellarmino, General Manager at the Plantation Bay Resort and Spa, in behalf of Mr. Manny Gonzales, the residence shareholder, began their response to this TripAdvisor review by assuming the worst of their guest and her child with a disability. The first part of the response is ignorant of what autism spectrum is, even going as far as to shame the parent and question the veracity of the child's diagnosis. And they quote, "For your information, uncontrolled shouting is not a symptom of autism. On the contrary, autistic children tend to be silent, nonverbal, and overwhelmed and withdrawn when faced with strangers. In fact, it is regrettably true that an autistic child will not be happy in any public situation where they are faced with many unfamiliar people and surroundings. Google autism and verify this for yourself. Therefore, this parent is most likely deliberately lying and have been given an incorrect diagnosis of autism, when what the child more likely has is a lack of discipline due to the simple parental neglect. Children scream because they hope to attract the attention of parents who customarily ignore them, or because they hear screaming between their parents at home. If their parents would pay attention to them and would refrain from screaming at each other, there would be no need for the child to scream. In our experience, one word from a responsible parent is enough to make a child quiet down." Wow, I would like to say kudos to Mommy May or Mommy Mai for speaking up. We stand with you. Mommy Mai, Mommy May, I see you, I hear you. You're so brave to speak up, and we just applaud you. As a mom raising a son with autism, my first reaction when I read this statement from Mr. Manny Gonzales was, instead of being pissed off or irked, I found it so hilarious. I found his ignorance so hilarious that I laughed out loud. This, especially of the statements, autistic children tend to be silent, nonverbal, and overwhelmed and withdrawn when faced with strangers. I felt the need to speak out, not to condemn anyone, not to judge anyone, not even Sir Manny, which already issued an apology, and this incident is already under investigation. I was really laughing instead of feeling offended. Autism has been around for many decades, not just in the whole world, but in our country. There are a lot of adults with autism right now. However, we still have that myopic view of what autism really is. This is why I am speaking up, adding my voice to the issue, because as I mentioned in my previous video, silence is a consent. I understand where Sir Manny Gonzales is coming from, where Plantation Bay is coming from, because The pandemic has incurred a lot of losses to the tourism industry, among many other industries. It has affected all of us greatly. Cebu is known for its tourism industry, and to be able to recover from that loss, the last thing that Plantation Bay wants is a bad review. And I know that Mr. Manny Gonzales is doing his best to defend the resort. However, it was communicated not in an empathetic way. During this pandemic, let us use empathy more than ever, instead of invalidating someone when she speaks her truth. In the Philippines, we have this Magna Carta for disabled persons. It's Magna Carta 7277, an act providing for the rehabilitation, self-development, and self-reliance of disabled persons and their integration into mainstreams of society and for purpose. So included in that act is we are not to discriminate people with disabilities or children with disabilities and special needs. Department of Tourism is investigating this incident if Plantation Bay has violated the Magna Carta of disabled person. So thank you for listening, Department of Tourism. Autism has been around for decades now, and yet there is still this stigma of what autism should look like. Autism is a spectrum. It has a wide varieties of many characteristics that you could not just see one person and say that's the face of autism. In fact, there is a quote: if you see a child with autism, that is one child with autism. That person does not represent the rest who has autism. While reading the article, I could relate to Mommy Mai because my son is really very social. If he meets a new person, he would say hi, and then he would smile. My son is nonverbal, but that does not mean he is silent or quiet. Autism has been around for a long time, but we are still ignorant about autism, probably because we have not created an environment or safe spaces for children with autism. We have set this world to live for typical people, that we have not shared spaces with people with disabilities and special needs. It's really funny that people will try to understand autism just by Googling autism, but you know what? Parents raising children with special needs want people who really listen to them. This ignorance about autism and special needs is a result of people not really listening. You know what's insulting? When a woman speaks up, when a mother speaks up, she is invalidated by saying she's lying or the diagnosis is wrong. That is hurtful. That is invalidating. That is not empathetic, and that's coming from a heart who refuses to understand. For those tourism industries out there, empathy would be such a loving message that you could give to families with special needs. What Mommy Mai said struck me. It really touches my heart when she said this statement: we need a friendly and empathetic environment for kids and family with special needs. We all have a right to be here. Children with special needs and disabilities have a right to be here. They have equal human rights. They have equal children's right to be here. And I hope that people who are in the position to create safe spaces and caring environments would think about them. Not just think about them, but plan halfway go halfway to meet their needs. How long has these children been the one adjusting? Why can't we adjust a little for them too, right? They all have a right to be here. They all have a right to be happy. I actually understand the dilemma of Mami Mai when the lifeguard approached her and told her to minimize the noise or the shouting because it will disturb the rest of the guests, because they went there to relax and to have the peace and quiet environment or ambience. Mami Mai has that dilemma of witnessing her son being fully happy and at the same time trying to adhere to the rules and regulation. You know, it's really a beautiful moment for mothers to see their children happy. That's a beautiful moment actually for that son with special needs, or for that daughter with special needs, with autism, with Down syndrome, with cerebral palsy, to experience happiness. And that's really a wonderful moment for a mother to behold. And yet, to suppress that happiness because it will bring inconvenience to other people, that is a dilemma for a mom. How many times, how many instances or incidents has these children put up with our happiness, with the rest of the world's happiness? They have to suppress, they have to adjust their happiness or their inconvenience because the world needs to be happy. Should it be a give and take kind of world? They live in this world with sensory processing issues. The light may be hurtful to their eyes. The water might be too cold. You know, they are dealing with so many struggles inside them because of how their body functions. There are a lot of things that they don't understand, and for children who are nonverbal, it's so difficult to express those inconveniences, and yet they have to live with it. They have to live with the rest of the world. No one is listening to their inconveniences. And when it's their turn to finally be happy, they are suppressed, silenced, and invalidated. So this is why I am speaking up, because you might know someone, a family, who are raising children with special needs. Please provide a safe space and environment for us. We need empathy. We don't ask you to understand or Google. We only need you to listen and empathize. Listen to our stories. Listen to our struggles. Do not invalidate us, telling us that we are lying, because each family has different struggles and happiness raising children with special needs. I understand that Plantation Bay has this reputation of offering peace and quiet and relaxing ambience for their guests and international guests even. But how about trying to sit down, reflect, and think about this incident and say, how can I make a space for people with disabilities, for children with special needs, whose happiness requires squealing and flapping and little noises that inconvenience your guest. For me as a mom, when I read a review like not an ideal place for a child with special needs, that gives me a message that I will not visit that resort too. I would also want to put it out there that my family and I have been visiting a few resorts in Cebu City, and we have not experienced any discrimination at all. It's very visible that our son has special needs. He gets really excited when he's happy, and he could be noisy sometimes, and we know that there are rules that we should keep quiet. And I share the struggle with Mommy Mai with like knowing the rules, and yet at the same time, how could I make my son not be that excited and produce so much noise, But I would like to say that even when my son was noisy, they did not call my attention at all, and they just allowed my son to be happy. They just smile when my son makes noises. I hope this incident would raise awareness to a lot of people to be more accepting and more empathetic to families raising a child with special needs. We do not need your judgment. We deal with autism every day, and if you want to know about autism, you don't need to Google it. All you need is to listen to parents, siblings, families raising a child with special needs. And it's nice to know that Magna Carta for disabled persons is there. Thank you so much. It's nice to know that the law is on our side when there are people who will discriminate our children. Well, I will just sending hugs to Mommy Mai and to the rest of moms and dads raising a child with autism or other special needs. I see you, I hear you. We all stand together in this fight. You are the strongest and bravest people I know. Nobody prepared us for this, but we are here and we are stronger every day, and it's all by the grace of God. We know that God loves these children, and we are co-laborers with Him, stewards of His children. And may we all raise our voices when someone speaks up. May we all be there to stand with her and support her and say, you are not alone. We are in this. We are with you in this fight. We are all in this together. We will make our voices stronger. And I hope one day these children who will become adults will learn to advocate for themselves too. But for now, we as parents are those who are going to speak for them. I really hope one day my son will be able to share his own story and speak up for himself, because his experience is unique in his own, as autism is really a wide spectrum. Children with autism and other special needs and disabilities have rights. They have a right to be here. They have a right to enjoy life. They have a right to be treated fairly. I hope we all meet them halfway. Halfway is good enough, because for a long time, it was them who tries to adjust themselves, isolate themselves, and endure inconveniences to make the rest of the world happy. It's time that we share that space, share a little inconvenience on our part, adjust a little, meet them halfway so they would feel happy. They would find happiness in their existence. So that's my message for Human Rights Day. This is a special celebration for children with disabilities and special needs. How about you? What can you say about this issue, about this incident? Do you know someone raising a child with special needs? How do you encourage them? How do you show empathy to them? Are you a family raising a child with special needs? I would like to know what your thoughts about this. Did you feel discriminated? Have you experienced that? And how do you want people to treat you? Please share that in the comments below. So on my next video, I would share 5 love languages of encouragement, because this channel is all about building a community of encouragers, of promoting a culture of care, of empathy. The world needs love and the world needs light, and let's just be courageous and show kindness to everyone, especially those who have struggles, special needs, disabilities, mental illness, and so on. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, and share this video.